What are we calling this episode?
Ooh, we got Tiny Toons.
Tiny Mermaid.
Tiny Mermaid.
It's
Tiny
that's it.
Little
That's
Mermaid?
all- yeah, it's Tiny Mermaid.
Looney
That's the
Mermaid?
one. Robbie!
Hey, Steven Brooks.
You know what? I might keep that part in. If I don't, you're not going to know what I'm talking about, but I might keep that part in, just the entrance into to the intro. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good.
Great.
We have a new addition to our house. I was saving to tell you this.
Ooh, in the intro?
We purchased
Uh-huh.
a bidet.
What?
And let me tell you, I feel like I evolved. I feel like I'm a new form of human.
Squeaky clean.
Yeah, just walking around.
Squeaking. Squeak, squeak, squeak. I would not have imagined if you would like it or not, but hey, all right. Well, what do you know?
But yeah, when we went to Italy, one time they had that, and I was just like, whoa. And then I was like, you know what? I feel
It's a wonderful story. But we went to Italy and they had one. And I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
I'm just imagining you like.
That's the only thing I remember.
So they had a separate one though, right?
Yeah.
Like it was So that's the interesting thing is because like they have those in Japan as well, but they're all it's part of the same toilet. So toilet and a bidet, and then in a lot of European countries, it'll be a toilet and a bidet. It'll be a separate thing.
Yeah.
That's like off to the side. And I'm surprised that you, I guess just for the...
Oh, no, well, this one the pressure, it just kind of shoots at you, but you have to kind of like lean forward.
All right. Listen. This is the intro. Can I tell you, we're talking about two children's pieces of media. This is going to, we're not swearing or anything. This is going to be a clean episode of the podcast, and this is the way you're starting it. Now, the thing I like about this is that if someone is listening to this with kids, we are not the ones who have described exactly what it is.
Yeah.
Everyone who knows what it is knows what we're saying. But now, if you are a parent listening to this, let's say in your car with the kids or something like that, because I have heard some of our listeners have done that. Now you have to explain what a bidet is.
Oh, the bidet.
Long. Hey, listen, we're only talking about two things. We're talking about Tiny Toons, the new Tiny Toons, and we're talking about Little Mermaid, and a little bit in just kind of like I really, really, really wanted to be positive. I wanted to find something positive. I wanted to talk about. I swear I will find something positive to talk about. This just was not the time. So hey, if you got something to say about either Tiny Toons or Little Mermaid, please let us know. Please tell me why I'm wrong about either one. Please tell Rob why he's wrong. Enjoy our takes, I guess, and then we'll be back with another episode relatively soon. And then 10-year anniversary coming up.
10 years.
So I want to say welcome to episode 293 of the Rubber Animation Podcast, and we're calling this one Tiny Mermaid. Tiny Mermaid.
The Tiny Toons.
In the sea.
They don't have bidets. So
sure.
They would say tiny, they're toony. They all have dirty booties.
I tried, guys.
I'm Don Bluth.
I'm Harry Partridge.
Hi, I'm Tom Moore, teenage superhero.
My name's Adam Phillips.
This is Robert Valley.
And I'm in no way doing a forced plug. No, sorry. I won't say that.
And you're listening to...
Boom, surprise, we're recording.
Oh, wow.
Robert, how you doing?
I'm doing good, Steve
Good.
Brooks. Remember every time like a radio station did something?
Yeah, it's Shocktober.
Shocktober, Rocktober.
Rocktober was a big one. Well, we're going to see a horror movie tonight.
Yeah.
That's not to say that we're not going to give you some quality show. What I am going to say is that we are determined to keep this nice and lean. We got 2 shows for you before our anniversary.
Yeah.
That's the hope.
Yeah.
that's
I'm
the
from
hope.
Fargo, yeah.
That's the hope if we can do it.
10-year anniversary.
10-year anniversary.
10 years of hearing our voices.
Yes, and how much they have changed and how... Okay, so this...
I haven't heard the old stuff in a while. I don't know what it is.
I haven't either. I haven't
Helium.
listened. I know for a fact that it would be very painful for me to listen to some of those older episodes. We were doing an episode a week.
Yeah.
For years. Basically, we were doing an episode a week until the pandemic. As soon as the pandemic hit, there was like a couple months got pushed off and everything got more complicated.
Energy.
Yeah.
Now we're just defeated old men.
I really wanted to find something positive to talk about.
Yeah.
There's been a couple times in the course of this, 10 years where not an individual thing. Like, obviously there's been like tragedies and stuff that have happened during the course, obviously. I'd say around 2016, just getting like really pulled down into negativity. We had a whole episode on just online bullying. It was like talking about just the general negativity of the world kind of at the time. Yeah, then the pandemic, I think. But there's a lot of turmoil in the industry, especially now. We've talked about it a couple times. We've talked about, why people are striking. There's AI, which was a big thing that was a topic before the strikes. And my main concern usually is when people get really sucked down into negativity, because it's very easy for that to happen.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And I think for me in particular, when your brain works the way that mine does, if you allow yourself to follow a thread of negativity too far, it's kind of hard to like crawl yourself back out of it. So, maybe just over many, many decades, just trying to stay on the positive side of things and look on the positive side.
Do you usually go to the comments when you see a video where it's going to be mostly like I immediately look for negative comments. I search for them like
I don't usually
like I'm looking for truffles.
I don't usually look for them, but I will say that I will often look at the comments and just scroll through and just see like what's the general tone of the comments in this thing. Just I don't know. It's just like another data point, and I will say I'd probably do this on TikTok, where I'll like look at comments in TikTok and they're awful. Yeah. Like a lot of them are really bad, and so sometimes I'll like skip past them. I'll skip past the video as soon as I see something that's kind of going down a bad path in the comment section, because I don't know what the algorithm kind of pulls together, and I just don't want to.
Oh yeah,
you know what I'm saying? I don't want to like. He opened up the comment section. He looked at I don't know what they're recording, and I want to try to control my own algorithm. Yeah. So like that's why sometimes if I feel like it's going into like kind of a bad area, I will, every time I see a puppy, I'll just let that thing play for like 5 for like 5 rotations. I'll send it to people. I'll open up the thing. Sometimes I'll like it and then unlike it. I figure that's recorded as some sort of action.
Yeah.
I'll just do whatever I can to be like, listen, this is the thing. I've bookmarked some things like that before just to try to control my own algorithm.
Oh, all my videos now are incoming Stitch. So it could be like someone in a garden,
right?
And someone will have something to say about that they are none too pleased about.
But the stitches, those incoming stitches, I've seen those too, and they will let the person say one sentence and then they'll go on a diatribe for like another 15 minutes, and you're like, well, now I gotta go watch this other video to see what the context is.
I like ice cream, so let me tell you about this person.
Yeah,
loves ice cream apparently. That's yogurt.
Everyone's got a take, and I think the ones that are really embarrassing to me are the ones where people think that they have this hot take, and it's one of two things. It's either something that is very old, man, like you didn't figure this out. This is a very old thing that should be pretty common knowledge, or at least very easily, like you're not sharing anything new. And then the other thing is when their take is just wrong. It's just like objectively badly wrong, which again I think kind of comes full circle to the fact that we've been doing a podcast for 10 years. Yeah. And as much as we try to stay on the side of positivity and optimism, sometimes we talk about things that we don't like, and we make fun of it or whatever, and try not to do it too much. And then also sometimes we're just wrong. that
Yeah.
also happens. But like I said, you know, a lot of times
Sometimes you
I'll
complain about someone's animation and then they become a guest on the show.
That's
because
true.
of-
That is
because you
well.
said they were
Sometimes
just-
you complain about someone's animation.
I remember just being hungover and angry. I was just like, the animation bounces too much. Why does it's like stop bouncing?
I wonder if anyone can pick out what that is.
Yeah.
That would be interesting. Yeah, that was a long time ago.
But now you know we're good friends. Well, I say good friends, but you know, social media friends.
So let me just give you the 3 topics because we talked about this already. We're talking Tiny Toons. We're talking Little Mermaid.
Mm-hmm.
So with this preamble about trying to be, I was really talking before, trying to find something positive, at least, you know, that I wanted to talk about and that we haven't talked about before, you know.
Yeah. It's almost like a back to school theme a little bit, you know.
I guess so, yeah.
Tiny Toons about
Sure.
University.
They probably did that on
Procreate.
purpose.
Oh, yeah. Procreate, you know, I'm
Yeah.
sure that's something you're going to use for school.
So
Little Mermaid,
why don't we do this? Why don't
know.
we start with you watched the first episode of Tiny Toons. I did not.
yeah.
So why don't you tell me about the new Tiny Toons?
The new Tiny Toons.
Uh-huh.
They're tiny.
Uh-huh.
They're toony.
Are they all a little loony?
They might be a little loony. However, they're very loud. All right. So the first time I tried to watch it,
Oh, here we go.
I was in bed.
You'll fall.
why do the cartoons got to scream all the time now? No,
He
it was
screams into the microphone.
it was always loud, but
Yeah.
But like, so sometimes you like to watch something while you're sleeping, and
while you're
watch something while you're
while you're going to sleep, while you're falling asleep.
well,
I
yeah,
understand.
something to have on in the
Yeah, yeah.
background.
Uh-huh.
Our go-to is usually like the Fox lineup, Simpsons,
Sure.
Family Guy,
Yeah.
or Bob's Burgers.
Yeah.
But I said, you know what? That new Tiny Toons is out. Let me try to watch it. And it's just like, hey, whoa,
Okay, all right.
yeah. And I was just like, oh no, I can't. I'm having nightmares with it. So I watched it the next day, and listen, it's not for me, but so far on Twitter, I really thought people were gonna tear this one a new one, but they seem to they seem to like it. There's a change. I don't know if you watched Tiny Toons when you were.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah.
The characters are. What's weird is that the characters are the same name, the same kind of design mostly, but Buster and Babs doesn't have any gloves. But their whole running joke in the past was, I'm Babs and I'm Buster Bunny, no relations. Now they're brother and sister in this, and you know, I guess that's okay, but. What's weird about it is just like these characters, I guess, if you didn't watch the Tiny Toons when you were younger, you would just think like, oh, okay, these are just copies of like Looney Tune characters. But
Well, I mean that's
that's what they are. But when we watched them, they kind of developed their own personalities that we kind of got used to. That
they
are
did,
similar qualities to, you know, Looney Tune characters, but they kind of stand on their own. And so I feel like to do something with these characters again and not have them be like, oh, we were younger, now we're all grown-ups and going to college. Now they're like introducing each other to like Plucky just met Buster and they never met other than in college. And I was just like, oh, it could have been fun if we...
Oh, so it's like a weird little reboot.
Yeah, but they have the same names, kind of same design. And so it's just, I thought it would have been more interesting if like they were just older now, all going to college together. But yeah, it's the same kind of thing where they're going to school and the Looney Tunes are their mentors. And, you know, I there's interesting things about it. The animation's good. You know, I mean, I remember the old one had different companies. So like some segments looked completely different than the others. There were different animation studios. So this one's more consistent and it's more of like one long story instead of like segments. I thought it was cool when they go out together. They're not, so far what I've seen, they're not going to a bar, of course. So they go to a coffee shop. But I remember in the old Tiny Toons, there was the episode where they got drunk off of one beer. Do you remember that?
Yes. Well, I don't remember it when I was a kid, but I remember seeing it
Yeah.
as an adult. Yeah.
So I wonder if they're going to tackle kind of college.
I think Tiny
things
Toons
like
is
that.
one of those things that I have flashes in my head, but I don't remember episodes. There's a lot of shows like that when I was talking. Didn't I mention this recently? David the Gnome. Like David the Gnome, I watched David the Gnome so much, but and also Rescue Rangers and things like that. I watched it all the time, but I can't remember an episode. I remember
I think I
flashes of things
David
and
the Gnome.
moments. Huh?
When David and Gnome started, I was just like, ugh.
I love
remember-
the theme song.
I forget what it was. I know that the voice was the father from Happy Days.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
How's the theme song?
Oh well, I mean, I'll play it for you right now. If that's how you want to spend this time.
He's David the Gnome.
If they did it today, well, I was gonna say today. If they did it,
David the Gnome goes to college.
There are many things to see that some would say could never be. These things I know, it's true and I will tell you so. They are there to see if you believe. Trolls and wizards and fairy kings,
Steven is it rocks.
it rocks.
All right, it picks up here.
Then you will find them too.
Ooh, I like that.
In every wish and dream and happy home,
Oh
you
wow.
will find the kingdom of the
Now I remember that part. Okay, listen, it started off kind of bad, but
I'm telling you.
wow.
I'm telling you, all those old like theme songs were just kind of wild.
I might have turned it off after the theme song.
Sure. When he got up and he started riding the fox, and I was like, this is cool. It's like a fox is his horse. Yeah, all those shows. Tiny Toons, and so in my head, I know Tiny Toons. I mean, definitely came out after Muppet Babies, right? Muppet Babies probably was
Oh, yeah.
predecessor to, but in my head, they kind of occupied the same spot. But then also Tiny Toons kind of it kind of like leans into Animaniacs, and I remember Animaniacs and Rocko's Modern Life, I think, kind of came out around the same time. And so like it's just this jumble of
Well, there was like Animaniacs, Tiny Toons, and Freakazoid. They were in like that kind of like lineup,
Yeah.
WB lineup.
I made some breakfast this weekend and decided I was going to put on a one of those like YouTube long videos or playlists or whatever. It's like 3 hours of Saturday morning cartoons kind of thing.
Yeah.
I put that on. I put on one that was 1995, and it started out with Carmen Sandiego. And in the commercial in between this show and another show was the series premiere of a new kind of hero. Oh, am I too much woman for you? Xena, Warrior Princess, 1995, 4:00 on Saturday.
Oh wow! So,
I know that Sam Raimi was the producer of Hercules and Xena. That's why his brother is in, I think, both of them.
yeah.
And Bruce Campbell is in them. And
Wow, I had no idea.
you didn't know
No.
that was one of my first introductions. I saw him and I was like, oh, it's the guy from Xena.
Yeah.
Scene. I think I actually did see Evil Dead first before I saw Evil Dead 2. Anyway, going back to Tiny Toons.
Oh, okay. Oh,
Yeah.
you said that, and I remembered a TikTok where they go, "Did you guys ever notice that in 3 Spider-Man movies, this guy plays different characters?"
Oh, yeah.
And they were talking about him. and
Those
I-
things, I hate those things where it's so annoying. And you sent me one today
Yeah.
So now, by the way, when I was going through my TikTok, I got more of like this kind of stuff because you messed up my algorithm. So you sent
It's
me
like
one.
you sunk my battleship.
You sent me one. That was the guy who's talking about, if you want to see the supermoon for the only time in your life, you better go out today. It's the only time you're going to be able to see it. The next time it comes around is 2035. And I think you sent it to me and you're like, this guy's assuming that the world is going to end before.
It's just, they're going to be old, so that doesn't, like, they hate.
You're never going to see it.
You're going to be a boomer when the next one comes, so you won't care.
That's another thing. This has been something now. Boomer is now just, apparently it's just someone being old. Like if you're like an older millennial, they're like calling you a boomer. And I heard someone say that to someone who was Gen Z. It was like, you're such a boomer. It's like, are you just saying because they're like older than you?
Yeah. If you're old and you're complaining about anything.
So
you're
not a
boomer.
baby boomer. Just like,
Yeah, you're just an old, complainy, whiny person. So Tiny Toons, why I hate it is no, I didn't. I watched the episode and it was fun. Maybe it's just something that passed me and I can't. It wasn't for me. It wasn't made for me. But I also wonder, there wasn't like enough adultish jokes to be like a things to like. Our kids are going to relate to this college kind of humor stuff. Like that was the kind of thing with Monsters Inc. when they had their college thing like that. I think that was what people were wondering if like younger kids are going to even get this, you know?
we may have said something very similar.
Something like that, yeah. But our kids are going to look at these Tiny Toons in college and be like, you know, oh, okay. Oh, maybe they might see that and go, I want to go to college because I want to be exactly like how it was when Tiny Toons went to college. But overall, I think, you know, there's fun things in there. I'm going to give more episodes a look. But I'm also wondering, yeah, like, is this, it seems like everyone's enjoying it.
I was looking forward to the new Looney Tunes cartoons, and it's been on for a bit, so it must be doing well. Mm-hmm. But there is something that's very odd about the way that I like when there is a new interpretation of something, when something is different. And I also like when someone does a complete homage to the thing that I love, but like updated, right? Where they just put a new coat of paint on it. I like that too. Yeah. You know, I find it maybe less valuable than doing something new with it. Where I kind of fall in this trap of it's neither one or the other is when they kind of like try to straddle a line of, oh, these things are going to be exactly like it was, but usually more visually. And then we're going to add in these other things, and it kind of undercuts both. You're kind of not doing anything new, but you're also not doing anything that really feels, you know, like the same. So when the Looney Tunes cartoons, I just got a very different vibe from them. The comedy wasn't really the same. The comedy felt very 90s Nickelodeon comedy to me, which makes sense because that would be the throwback for kids now. That's the throwback cartoons, because I watched cartoons from the 40s and the 50s. Like when I was growing up, and sometimes even from the 30s, in late 80s, early 90s, which, you know, would have been, you know, like 50 years back. So the comedy makes sense that it would be this kind of like, you know, 90, you know, this Nickelodeon style for kids now. But the characters feel different. They feel like somehow the characters have changed to accommodate the new comedy. Yeah. But the visuals and everything, the callbacks feel very similar. It's almost like a bait and switch, you know what I mean? Which I think the plan is people know the designs, people know like the visuals of the way that things look, but they might not have really watched the cartoons. but they kind of like see him, in the backgrounds and stuff. So we'll visually kind of make it seem like that, but then we'll update it for this new thing. So for me, it ends up being this kind of half.
Yeah.
Where it doesn't feel like it's kind of when someone does a like a reinterpretation of a song, like a remake of a song.
Yeah.
And it's like all the stuff is there, but it's mixed in a way that's very modern. Like there's no peaks and valleys of things. I usually say, like, when people do an update, I've said this before, I think on the Rescue Rangers, maybe. Oh no, it was the DuckTales. That
Damn it. It's too late now.
The whole thing kind of felt all the same volume. It didn't really have the DuckTales, woo. It didn't have that. It kind of was a DuckTales, woo. It kind of flattened it out.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it feels like, and it kind of just bums me out because it's like close, but not really.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm getting at?
It's like,
so it's hard for me sometimes to enjoy it, and I feel kind of bad because I feel like I'm getting sucked into this like nostalgia. It's not for me, and I know it's not for me.
Yeah.
But like, I almost wish they would do something much different. I almost wish that they would do something like completely different. But then you get, the Looney Tunes show, which was like a sitcom, and like nobody watched that either.
I kind of like that.
I know we've talked about this before, and I like the idea of it, but it definitely didn't make me want to watch it. So it just kind of brings you back full circle, where I kind of just feel like at this point, it's like, I can try all I want to eat a banana. I just don't like bananas. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It just may be a thing. It's just not because I thought maybe it was a nostalgic issue. What?
I whispered to the audience, he didn't get it.
I didn't hear it.
You're not appealing.
Oh, not appealing. I just thought you said it quiet enough. You leaned into the microphone and said it in a quiet voice, which we're sitting next to. Like, I didn't hear you.
There's a weird thing where like it's weird because I do like the new Looney Tunes, but I think I like watching it. I like the style more than I think the actual what's going on.
Yeah,
in there,
I don't find it funny or I would really like the characters that were in Looney Tunes. Like, I would find there was just the Chuck Jones era just had like really cute animals, and they were kind of like weirdly imperfect and lumpy and kind of, I don't know. It's just really fun.
Yeah.
And something about this, it's really hard for me to it just feels like you're not really supposed to care or empathize as much. Mm-hmm. Or at least that's not where the attention is. The attention's a bit more on like, the slapstick and the references. But even that makes me sound really old. It's just, there's something missing for me. There was like an ingredient in there that I really liked, and it might be driven by nostalgia, but I can't really put my finger on it. And that's kind of where I feel like I come down, or I avoid talking about some of these like reboots like that, and like Animaniacs, because you watch it and it just feels like something's missing, and I can't really put my finger on it. And the more you talk about it, either it makes you sound old and out of touch, or just wanting the nostalgia of it. And I don't know how much of the audience relates to that, because there's a frustration there. I want to like it, or I want to know why I don't.
It's the closest with Looney Tunes that we've gotten like in years.
Uh-huh.
I think we're used to a certain like formula with it, and they're trying to do that. But like, it's like Tom and Jerry. Whenever they try to bring it back, the hits when he gets hit, like it doesn't. It's not like, I don't know whether they add more frames to it, and it's just, it doesn't impact it. When Tom gets hit with a frying pan now, it just doesn't look funny. It's just, there's a difference of like the way it was treated. But it's also like, look at when we watched Jurassic Park, the first one. how still it kind of holds up, but now it's just when you're trying to kind of recreate that thing, it's gone because it's
well. So I actually think, and I know that you didn't like the 2014 Godzilla movie. But one of the reasons that I liked it, and I do look past the story issues because I will grant you that. But visually speaking, I mean, that looked amazing. There was the thing is, there's not a lot of when you have one of the new Jurassic Park movies, there are so many dinosaurs. Yeah. And so they have to do all this extra, work, and they're just like churning it out. And now visual effects houses have so many jobs to go onto, like and the way the bidding is working and everything. And I just feel like the way the system has become accustomed to using visual effects, it doesn't really allow you to really settle in and really give the care that they gave Jurassic Park. A lot is made about the fact that there's not that many visual effects shots in Jurassic Park in relation to a lot of puppetry and a lot of on set things, which is true, but that doesn't really necessarily explain why CG from that long ago still holds up and looks that good. It's because the amount of care and the amount of attention that was put into top to bottom, not just on the visual effects side. Visual effects will always try to put their best into it, but they're also crunched against time and budget and everything. And a lot of times, the director, the people that are on set, are not really giving it the kind of attention that it deserves, because now they've kind of offloaded some of that responsibility sometimes onto the visual effects supervisors, the visual effects house, and whoever's the leads that are there to try to make the decisions. And even when they film something on set, they might just take it for granted that, like, oh yeah, we can kind of, we can do this because we've seen it done before. Yeah. And that's maybe where some of it is it's the amount of care that goes into it, but not because the artists themselves are not caring. It's because the whole system is not set up to make you care that much about every frame or make you give that much attention to every frame. Yeah. When they were doing Looney Tunes, I mean, obviously they were like, and I'm going back to Looney Tunes, but because you brought up Jurassic Park and I just wanted to make that comparison. But I do think that when you have only a couple animation houses and there's not that much animated, content that's out there, and Looney Tunes and Merry Melodies and stuff like that, they're doing stuff for different reasons with different budget and a different size team. And then you have other people that are coming in that are, then you have like Hanna-Barbera, and you have UPA, and they're making cartoons on different budget, different timeline, with different aesthetic for a different purpose, for a different release. And still there's not that much competition. Now there are animation studios everywhere that are doing lots and lots of cartoons and TV shows and commercials, and it might just be that the system is just set up to not really allow you to put that kind of care into that kind of stuff.
Especially now that things are digital and stuff.
And I'm not saying that about Looney Tunes. I actually think that's where I really wanted to like Looney Tunes, and I know I keep bringing back on that, but we didn't really talk too much about it. The animation's fantastic. The animation's wonderful, and you could put that kind of attention toward that. But I think it's the other stuff around it that I couldn't really get.
There's onto. Actually a stop motion one that's coming out that they premiered in Annecy.
Yeah, the Daffy Duck one. Yeah,
that's interesting.
Yeah,
I like when they experiment like that. I think with the Looney Tunes, it's just it's tricky to get to where it was.
It might just be that there's not a place really for anthology cartoon kind of stuff. But I do feel like you have to have a platform to release these things where kids will watch them and they'll like watching these little cartoons and they just want to see like some fun things happen. You introduce a character and then after a while you introduce another character and you just get this like roster of characters that are just there to be setups for the jokes. They're just personalities, and be like, what if we take this personality and put this personality together? How would that all happen? We're talking a lot about and I who knows, maybe this will just be like an extra thing for Patreon, because I don't want to be that negative about Looney Tunes, especially when we're talking about Tiny Toons.
Yeah,
but it does kind of make me think sometimes about why is this not grabbing me? Because I can watch all of those old cartoons, all of them, and even the ones that aren't very good, they still have something in it that's really fun, and it's usually like an expression or some kind of some kind of characterization or something like that. And I watch the new ones, it just doesn't hit as hard, it doesn't feel as heavy.
Yeah.
I don't really know any other way to describe it. There's a car that is outside.
Yeah, it is. I've never heard this song, but it's very loud.
Sure.
Sounds like DJ Khaled.
Okay.
Oh, but if you're not into that Looney Tunes,
Yeah.
let me tell you on something that came out a few years ago that everyone overlooked. Mm-hmm. It's called the Lunatics.
Oh yeah, yeah. Okay.
And
see, that's something where they tried something different, and like, doesn't always work. Mm-hmm. I would say it almost never works. But
you know what they call Taz there?
Oh no, what?
All right, I don't know. You can't really say this now, but
yeah. No, I know what you're saying. Yeah. I get you. Oh no,
that was such a '90s thing.
Now that I've been sufficiently negative about nostalgia things, I watched The Little Mermaid.
Okay.
2023.
Uh-huh.
Did you watch it?
No.
So this is an interesting thing. I watched, of course, the 1989 one. And like recently, while I was waiting for the new one to come out on Disney Plus, and I had heard all sorts of things. And again, I kind of thought it can't be that bad, right? It's going to be kind of down the middle. And I read some reviews without going too in depth that were, some people. It's so strange because some of the reviews liked the exact opposite thing of the other reviews. So like there wasn't any consensus there. And I found that in itself very interesting, because usually at least there's some sort of general consensus over like this kind of worked, this didn't really work.
Yeah.
But when I started looking around, that got me a little intrigued, even though I wasn't all that interested in watching it. So I listen, man, it's a street corner. I don't know what to tell you. It's loud outside. The very beginning. Do you remember the beginning of the original Little Mermaid?
Was it like all the mermaids together? All her
No, I mean
sisters?
like where it's actually going into the water. Like the very beginning, you kind of like going through and you see the the underwater city.
Yeah.
I mean, at the very beginning. You know what I'm saying? The quote beginning, and it's it's bright, it's colorful. It's majestic. In this one, I really went into it with like, all right, here we are. We're gonna be like, this is gonna be. Let's give this a solid chance, and it's so boring looking. The mermaid, the castle, it looks kind of drab. And I think they're going for like a murky underwater thing, to make it realistic. But something about it's just not really working. It kind of feels like it's more like, Aquaman diving in the water and there's all these creatures that are like following down. There's like lightning. Anyway,
I've seen the first one. I didn't see
that had more, kind of fantastic looking elements. Avatar, The Way of the Water. Didn't really like the movie. As a matter of fact, I laughed out loud a couple times at how stupid it was in parts. But it looked really good. I mean, when you're under the water, like it looks like, yeah, this is pretty magical. But it still looked realistic. It was just kind of bright, and I know most of it was shallow, but still. This was just that was right off the bat. Just visually, just kind of boring. The digital doubles just also didn't really sell it. There was a lot of floating head syndrome that was going on. I don't know if it was a lot of
Floating head syndrome?
Yeah, when you have like a digital body and they film a head and they have to try to match the head onto the body.
That was a problem with Will Smith's Genie, right?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, I didn't watch that one. I have not watched a lot of the live action or hybrid movie. I watched The Jungle Book and The Lion King, so I watched the hybrid. And for the Lion King, it was completely CG. I think I've stayed away from some of the other ones. Like I didn't watch Beauty and the Beast, and but I wanted to watch this one. This Little Mermaid was a big movie for me. When I was a kid, and I obviously have a lot of thoughts on the story. The story, it was shorter. It is old. The source material isn't exactly progressive either. So there are things that you can update and you can change about it. So I was thinking that this, even if the CG mermaids, it was mostly when they were swimming and they had to stop in frame. I think that was a digital double. It kind of looked like Neo from The Matrix 2, just flying in the air like that kind of, or when in the Burly Brawl fight, where it's just like super digital. Or I just watched The Flash also. Wow.
Oh.
Ooh, it looked not great. No, and I know that this very popular thing to rag on visual effects, and I think that we're still in the phase where we have to then also say this is not blaming the visual effects house, because obviously we all know the state of the industry that we're in, and the same visual effects house can make something look amazing in another project, and it just doesn't come out looking so great in another project, and it's obviously based on the project, the time, the money, the director. So,
producer saying we need this in a flash.
Forgot even what I was saying. Anyway, I could get past that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But then the story updates. I thought, okay, there was 3 new songs. They were all terrible.
Yeah.
Didn't sound anything like. I mean, you can't.
All 3 of the songs made by what's his name?
Lin-Manuel Miranda.
Yeah.
If there's one thing that is going to date these Disney movies, it's going to be the fact that Lin-Manuel Miranda is doing the music. I don't know what it is about his style.
Yeah.
But it sounds very dated. It sounds very like of a time, and like right now they sound old. Like the songs that are in there sound 10 years old.
Yeah.
And I don't know what it is about it. I can't put my finger on it. But there's not a timelessness to it. And there's not really a timelessness exactly to the Little Mermaid songs either. They do feel like a musical theater kind of thing, kids musical theater. But they work in a very particular way. I think I was talking to you yesterday on the phone, and I mentioned this, the Under the Sea.
Yeah.
Okay. Famously, Under the Sea, really vibrant looking, lots of characters. There's bands and Duke of Soul and all that sort of thing. That you're going around to these different creatures that he's singing about. And you're seeing the thing that he's singing about and doing. They didn't do that at all. It's just a realistic looking crab that's like, I think he's on a rock at the moment. I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was just really, and it's just kind of him just singing. And but nothing's happening. He's singing about these really exciting things that are happening. And I did read one review that did point out that if this is supposed to convince Ariel that it's better down where it's wetter, then you can understand why she's like, maybe I want to change the pace. Maybe I want to see what the surface world has going for it, because it looks so boring. I was shocked at how boring it was. I think I told you about the turtles. There's like sea turtles that, are swimming on the ocean floor. And it's like kind of like a muted tan and kind of a dark sea green, color of the turtle, like those two things on each other, and it's not filling the screen. There's not all this stuff. It's just kind of, and they're just sitting on these turtles. And also you miss Sebastian. I think Flounder's in there a little bit, but also Flounder's not very vibrant, kind of small in frame. They're always all very small in frame. It just, nothing about it worked for me.
What do you think of Sebastian's design? Because I feel like as much as people don't like it, They
tried to go for a little bit more cartoony, I think, with him than they did with the other characters.
But if you look at the cartoon, like, no crab looks like that.
No.
It's like a bubble gum that's sticking out of his head.
Yeah, no, of course. And that's, they basically, with Sebastian in the 89 movie, they kind of took a Jiminy Cricket kind of style of, where it's, okay, I'll believe he's a cricket if you tell me he's a cricket, but he doesn't look like a cricket. Like, the only thing that's cricket-like is maybe his legs, I guess, when he, but that's it. They're, not really in the face all that much. Kind of actually has a little bit more of a turtle face. But and then, yes, Sebastian, I like the bubble gum. But yeah, the crab, I mean, it's all kind of insinuated. It's not super realistic. And I don't know exactly how you would have gone about it. I didn't see, the concept art. I believe that there's a way to do it that would give this world a little bit more, interest. I was saying after the movie, I was coming up with all these ideas about how they could have done it. And I was thinking, like, the underwater thing could have had more of the Detective Pikachu kind of, style of, they're still cartoony, they're still, whatever, but they're realistically rendered.
Yeah.
And then, when they're out of water, they look more realistic. So, like, when Sebastian
kind of SpongeBob.
Yeah. Oh, is that right? Yeah.
Yeah, they were cartoons, and then when they come out, well, in the early ones, it was an actual sponge. Stuff, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think it's not like a revolutionary idea or anything. It's just, it kind of came about because I thought the Under the Sea sequence, it really needed something. And I was saying it would be great if Sebastian was just singing these things, and he was kind of like, he does this swimming thing where he's like swimming around. If he were to do that around Ariel, and as he is talking about how great it is under the ocean, he's kind of like tapping, coral, and it's turning into maybe hand drawn, or maybe something in CG, some sort of filter, whatever, make it look hand drawn, kind of give it an arcane kind of thing with a bit of vibrancy on it. And then as he's going through the song and he's introducing these characters, these animals that are in a band, they're these cartoon, animated things, because he's trying to sell it to her as like, it's amazing under here. And then you finish the song and then slam cut to it being just kind of like, there's nothing there. It's just her sitting there in this murky. Then you could have sold it and said, like, his song didn't work.
Yeah.
It's not selling. She wants something else. She doesn't see what you see. And that would have been really interesting. And you could have done kind of a halfway point there as well. Oddly enough, I just watched Kung Fu Panda, and I got this feeling from that, where Kung Fu Panda, the beginning of Kung Fu Panda was in this kind of like, this very stylized 2D with motion smearing and stuff like that. You remember that? And then he gets woken up, and it just, again, kind of, it's like a zoom cut. It kind of like it's a transition that way, where it's kind of like he falls down and now he's CG, and the whole thing is CG. And the character designs and the colors, they're all very good, and they're all very vibrant in CG, but it didn't have the deep ink blacks of the 2D render, kind of thing, that comic booky anime style, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then in CG was all, ray tracing lit, so the blacks of his panda wasn't the deep black of the cartoon. So it looked a little bit more realistic. And I thought that was really interesting, because if you just went into this CG world, that's an interesting world, but it made it feel more real because you started out with this other thing. And I thought, man, they could have done something like that.
Yeah. When it comes to like musical stuff like that, you have more liberty to, I know you're trying to make it everything as realistic as possible, but you could I think yesterday you were talking about the Lion King segment Where
Yes, I just want to be. Can't wait to be king, or God, was it?
I just want to be king.
I just want to be king. Just give me it. Can't wait to be king. Right? Isn't that the song? Boy, that's like my favorite of the Disney Renaissance movies, and I can't remember the exact name of the song. I think that's right. Just can't wait to be king. Yeah, where it's it kind of builds to this crescendo where it's a towering column of animals that are all on top of one another in a very kind of looks like a synchronized swimming, you know, when they kind of do it, kind of like looks like that kind of you know, but on land with this big pillar with the they had peacocks or whatever that were up there. Maybe not peacocks, maybe they were like ostriches. And then wasn't there an not an elephant, but a hippo that was at the top? Anyway, it something that was absolutely completely impossible, and it was Zazu holding them everyone up.
So,
like
yeah.
it was absolutely physically impossible. And you know the rest of the movie, I mean, it has some like really, really wonderful physics based things that are in the movie, and that one was just so crazy, and it was kind of like this. Yeah, it was entering into this fantasy world, very very, very Dumbo.
Yeah.
And I think this needed that. Just something. It felt like can't speak for the director, but it didn't feel like the director wanted to do. Didn't respect the fact that this was, if you're going to remake an animated movie, it seemed like he was specifically trying not to do anything animated or try to make it look not animated, and in doing so made everything that was supposed to look exciting and fun really drab and dreary, because guess what, there's not a lot of light under the ocean. Like the deeper that you get, it's kind of dark and kind of not great, and I don't think we needed that for the mer people, you know what I mean? And then there's just other really strange story things that I can't really talk about without spoiling. But you know, they give Eric a background, like a lot more character development than they gave Ariel. I kind of thought that it might have been the other way around, or they might have given some to King Triton. Right early in the beginning, and I know they talked about this already, so it's not a spoiler. And it doesn't go anywhere. I was just gonna say that there's 3 lines I think that offhandedly remark about Ursula and King Triton being brother and sister.
Yeah.
About how King Triton is like the older brother, and it's only saying like, I think there was a comment about like, you know, sibling rivalry, and then, you know, older brother, younger sister. I think it was really just 3 lines, and nothing comes about. Nothing, you know.
They just
they just kind of threw that in there, and I thought like, you know, there's all this stuff about the people, the humans on the island who, you know, they're merchants, but they're not merchants because all their ships are going down, and they blame the king of the sea. They blame, you know, King Triton basically. And so there's this kind of like de facto war against the humans and the mer people that they don't like each other. Obviously, King Triton never did in the original cartoon, and there's just a general distrust. But in the movie, they had a real opportunity to kind of flesh that out, especially with the brother-sister thing. And I thought what they were going to do. I'm going to say what I thought they were going to do so that, you know, this is not what they do. So it's an anti-spoiler, right? It's like, this is what I think they should have done and they did not do. But I thought what they should have done is, again, this was something that is all very common knowledge, hopefully at this point, but that King Triton is mad at the humans because his wife, Ariel's mother, was either killed by humans or died at the hands of humans, died because of humans in some way. That's just kind of what is mentioned in this movie. And I thought it was going to come out that like Ursula has been making all these storms and sinking all these ships, and maybe King Triton's wife, Ariel's mother, was trying to save one of the ships, and Ursula was the reason that the mother, the queen, was
sense.
killed, and that's what kicked off this distrust between the humans and the mer people, either for a reason or not a reason. You know, jealousy is also a thing, but for some other reason. And then that's where it kind of comes out that she was the reason all along, that it was kind of a misunderstanding kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because they set all that up. They said all those things that
and then it just went nowhere.
And then it literally went nowhere. They never went back to it. And this is another thing, which is a tiny spoiler. Yeah. But it shouldn't make or break the movie for you, because it's already been talked about if you've ever listened to it. In the original 1989 movie, Eric is, when the sea witch, Ursula the sea witch, she's a big kaiju monster at the end, and she's, there's a whirlpool that's there, and Eric gets on a ship because he's about to drown, and Ariel's kind of doing her thing, and he takes the ship and steers it into Ursula.
Yeah.
And ends up killing Ursula. Now, considering what I just told you about what they set up with, humans not liking the mer people and the mer people not liking the humans, and Ariel's mother being killed either because of or at the hands of humans, maybe finding out that it was actually Ursula all along, wouldn't it have been great to have Eric, this guy who King Triton does not like, does not trust, and does not want Ariel to go to, because he doesn't trust humans, doesn't want her, going after it, doesn't understand why she has this obsession. He ends up killing Ursula and setting him free, because remember, in the original movie, she imprisons him because he gives up his, whatever.
Yeah.
And he helps save the day, not alone, but he does this heroic thing that makes King Triton go, "Oh,
you saved us.
You saved us."
Yeah.
Maybe not all humans are bad, and makes him change his mind and everything. No, in this one, Ariel does it.
Yeah.
And kills Ursula, which, good, but it doesn't then motivate the end of the movie. The humans have no reason to then trust mer people.
Yeah, you need that kind of thing where the two people who had the conflict, one saves the other, and it.
Yes, I just didn't understand what the reason was about setting all those things up and then not giving anything to pay off. Yeah. And then the other thing was one of the songs is singing in her head when she gets on land. It's minutes after she loses her voice. If she gives up her voice,
yeah.
In a movie about someone finding their voice, the very thing that happens after she gives up her voice for this thing, she makes this Faustian deal, and immediately we as the audience, it is undercut because, we hear her voice because she's just singing about this stuff in her head, but she's not doing a pantomime, she's not doing anything, which really takes away a lot of any acting that Halle Bailey could do. I will say, I think that she was one of the better parts of the movie. They really don't give her much, but she does a fine job and she sings beautifully. But also in her rendition she does this wandering free, wish I could be. She does this kind of kind of thing. And there's something about it. It kind of feels like this is kind of an adult singing this. I know that they got her. I don't know how old she is, but they got her because she looks young, or she definitely acted young, but there was something that just kind of felt like this is definitely an adult who is singing this song. I wasn't really getting the.
Does it sound like she tripped or something?
No,
free.
she was free. She was just feeling the, it was just a strange moment. It was definitely a choice, but when the hand comes reaching out, she doesn't fall back down to the thing. They just kind of cut to it, and when she's singing about all the items that she has, she doesn't actually go around to the items.
Look at this stuff, isn't it neat?
Yeah.
We could keep it back there.
Scuttle is Aquafina, and like I think they just kind of make Scuttle was always kind of a dumb character, but Scuttle, the thing that really bothered me, and this like immediately came up, was Scuttle was trying to pretend that he knew everything about the human world.
Yeah.
And you got the feeling like the only reason that Ariel and him were friends were because he was like, he was the keeper of the information. He probably knew that. He probably has no friends because, like, Sebastian doesn't like him. That's what I got the feeling.
Yeah.
Like, he's just like the guy who, he's got
Someone's
this one.
talking to me.
Someone's talking to me, and he would make up whatever. And his like best friend was Ariel because like he meant something to her. In this one, yes, she's just kind of like a dummy. She just kind of like makes stuff up that like, does she believe that this is the way that humans are? Because it looks like she's actually trying to talk about the way that humans are, as opposed to Ariel going, hey, what is this thing? And him going, oh, well, let's see here. That's all. Well, of course, this is a dinglehopper. This is, just making it up on the spot.
The way like an uncle would talk to their like,
trying to make something up. It very like Calvin and Hobbes, like Calvin's dad. Like whenever Calvin asks him a question, to see the mom in the background, just be like, if you don't know the answer, don't just make something up. Anyway, just like so many things. I could probably go on and on about it, and I don't really want to trash the movie. There were some things. Let me talk about some things that I liked. Halle Bailey, I think did fine. I think she looked the part. I think it needed a little bit more direction in some portions. There was a very interesting choice when she was like, she was singing from behind the rock, and she's like, talking about how like she like is watching and she's kind of crouched behind this thing. It's right before the splash of the the wave comes up and everything. She's kind of creeped behind this rock. Like that's not what that moment was. The moment was he was there, and then he was walking away, and now she's on the rock, and now she's singing right to herself. But she's like kind of creeping back. It just seemed creepy, kind of creeping back there and across the rock. And then when she sits up and the wave splashes behind her, what do you think? Give me the posture. Give me the posture right now. This is going to be a visual thing.
It's like the George Costanza kind of back arch.
See, you just arch your back. There is no back arch. There's no back arch. She's kind of like is like up and forward, and the thing kind of splashes behind her, but there's no back arch there. I don't know. It's just kind of strange. There was just a lot of really kind of micro strange choices that were in there that felt like I don't need it to be the original movie, but I do need the character choices of the movie to continue to be there, unless you're going to choose something different. I thought they had something really special there with this whole, humans murder people, because I knew it was going to be over 2 hours. It was 52 minutes longer than the original movie. Yeah. And I got less characterization. I definitely got less of a payoff, for sure. There's no reason why this should end up the way that it is. And the 3 songs were awful. Eric's song is terrible.
Well, I only know the Scuzzlebutt. Scuzzlebutt. How did they handle Kiss the Girl?
Kiss the Girl is probably the more cartoony, the more visual of the stuff they had, but they still definitely didn't come anywhere close to, they had some bioluminescence that was in there. You got to have that. They did actually do a cartoony thing, which was spitting water in arcs over the thing, which was, it's like, okay, that's, and I think they added a line about consent in there, which like, totally, you gotta do that.
The camera.
Yeah, but I mean the whole thing is. Oh, the other thing is that they, Ursula. I don't know why they did this. I'm assuming someone must have a take of why this is better, but she trades her voice so that she can go on land. She can be a human. She can go on land. Strangely enough, yes, she was obsessed with Eric, but there was a lot that was made about the statue. That falls to the ground from the from the ship.
Yeah.
Not in this one. It just kind of like falls off. And also the really funny thing Oh God! You just have to watch it. I wish I could do a side-by-side clip of how Eric falls off the ship, how he ends up in the water in the first one, with an explosion, very action-packed explosion, where he's trying to save things or whatever. And in this one, he just kind of tumbles over and just goes ooh, just breaks through the thing. It's so strange. But it is much, in my opinion, much more explicit that she is, she's interested in the human world, but she is obsessed with Eric. In the original movie, I felt a little bit more like it was she's obsessed with the human world, and he's kind of an avatar. He's kind of like a reason to get up there, which. I'm totally fine if you want to change that, but it was weird that they changed it to give him more backstory and give her more of an obsession over him. Yeah. And they do have more of a love story. They do, fall in love more in this one because they have more time, which I think you definitely could have done, no matter what the case. But Ursula does this thing where she makes she throws a little something extra into the potion where she's not going to remember that in order to save her soul or whatever, that she has to get a kiss, the true love's kiss or whatever. She doesn't know that.
Okay.
So I think the reason was if they kiss, it will be because she wants to kiss. I think that was supposed to be the reason, but all it really kind of does is makes her aimless because now she's just on land, and there's no motivation. She's not trying to do anything. She's not it's a very strange thing to keep that part of the story, but then also, so what's she doing? Like, is her story over? Now she's just on land. She becomes kind of a side, character in her own story.
Yeah.
For that whole portion. Then it's mostly about Eric and how Eric is conflicted because he remembers this person who saved him, and he thought it was her, but she can't sing, she can't talk or anything. It's the same from the original movie, but he's a lot more conflicted. It's just so strange to me that they gave a lot more to him, and I thought that was, maybe I'm reading it wrong, but it felt in an attempt to fix things, it felt like they kind of dug it a little deeper.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, I guess in the original, it wasn't, he was pretty one-dimensional, so yeah, there wasn't much to him.
I have no problem giving him more of a backstory. I just thought they were going to give, a little bit more to her as well. But and they cut out the fish song. There's no le poisson, hee hee hee.
That's crazy.
It's all gone, which makes sense. I probably wouldn't want to see it anyway. How they handled the Oscar-winning Under the Sea, Howard Ashman and Alan Menken, that combination was magical, and it just didn't work with the three songs. And I will say also the choreography of the songs was just awful. It was just terrible. You have these very visual songs that are, talking about things that are, very, very visual, very and it didn't, they didn't pay off on anything. Poor Unfortunate Souls didn't work at all. I think Melissa McCarthy did a fine impression of Pat Carroll, but it's not her register. Pat Carroll had a very booming, had a lot of weight to her voice, and she could play with it in a really interesting way. And I think I described this to you like when someone does an impression of someone else, you can tell they're doing an impression. You can tell that's not the way that they talk.
Yeah.
There's just something about it. It just doesn't sound natural. It sounds like they've contorted themselves into making this thing. And that's what she sounds like. She does a fine impression, but it just doesn't come out all that well. I think Daveed Diggs is the same way with Sebastian. I think I commented to you that every time he yells, he kind of does this Ariel, Ariel. Yell. Well, I think he's trying he's trying to do the accent. Maybe, I don't know. He's not a voice actor. Maybe it's weird. I don't know. The voice acting was very strange because he does yell a lot, and it was like he was not yelling. He wasn't like using his voice.
Yeah.
But I've seen him in movies where he's very energetic. Like he can really give a performance. So I don't know. I don't know what happened there.
He was trying to match the mood of the whole movie.
Either it's not natural and he doesn't feel comfortable like yelling in that, or that was a specific choice. And I can't help by like the director or whatever. And I can't help but lay most of this blame on the director. I have to, because the choices that are made are all over the place. It's the visuals, it's the animation, it's the choices of the song, the songs that are actually being sung, like who's actually singing the songs, the extra scenes that are given, the choreography. I mean, this is the guy who directed Chicago. You know, I kind of expect there's more like fantasy song elements in Chicago than there are in this movie. It just seemed very muted. And very,
when you think of like movie and musical, you picture like MGM, where it's just very like the posing and how everyone's in synchronizing. Synchronizing? Yeah. It has to be a big deal. You can't do a musical and have it not be like big. Go big or go home is what I say. I think I made that phrase up.
I think you did.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't really have anything else to say about Little Mermaid. That was a little bit more of a rant than I was expecting to give. But
do the mer people turn into those weird
no,
things?
But they don't. But they do. So I don't know if you ever saw it's a 1975 animated Little Mermaid. It's a little closer to the Hans Christian Andersen ending. Yeah. But it's a very strange movie. You should look it up. You can find it on YouTube. It's really weird. You know, like they animate like nipples on the mermaids that are like, it's very strange. It's very clearly for kids, but I don't know, 1975. I don't know. Anyway, but in that one, when her and Flounder are kind of, you know, going to they're going to the Sea Witch, pass through this tunnel where these kind of they're like lampreys, you know, they kind of like, I don't know what they're called, but they're kind of like sea slug kind of things that come out, and they're like leeches, you know, they kind of come out and they grab and they hold them back, and they have to get through them. So in this one, that happens in the very beginning of that kind of thing, and I think that's what the 1989 movie did. I think they might have changed it. I don't know the Hans Christian Andersen original, but I think they might have changed that stuff into these kind of weird little shrimp character things where she kind of like steals their souls. She does see a skeleton of like a mermaid on the way to the Sea Witch, which also I feel like that was probably too much, because at that point I'm like, well, you're a dummy. Like if you're going to someone, there are two laugh lines. I'll give you two laugh lines. One is when I don't know, Ursula says something like, they talk about me. She goes, yeah, they call you the Sea Witch. And she goes, what? That made me laugh. And then the other one was when Ariel was going through the castle, when she, you know, first is walking with legs and stuff. She's going through a castle and like looking at everything. She sees a seashell, and Eric is there. She's looking through a bunch of stuff, and Sebastian has been trying to like get in and like follow her, and she picks up a seashell and turns it upside down. He goes, "Hey, girl," and she goes and turns it back around and puts it down. This is really funny. Yeah, is it just a couple moments like that were really fun, and that's the thing that really bummed me out about it, is that there is a movie in here that is really, really good. It could be good. Yeah. It has some elements, and I think that, God, if there is one thing that could have worked so well with an animated hybrid movie, it would have been The Little Mermaid. Oh, you have mer people.
Yeah.
That's a hybrid person. It's like you could do CG fish, tail kind of thing. You could have done something like Where the Wild Things Are, where it's a practical type of thing, but then you supplant it with with CG. I think they really should have done something like Under the Water. There was kind of a little bit more hyper stylized CG characters, but then when they're on land, they're really just like super realistic.
Yeah.
So like Sebastian is there, and that would have maybe given an opportunity to like where she maybe if you're going to do it, change it up entirely. If you're going to do your own thing, maybe when they're on land, maybe one thing that she gives up is she can't communicate with the sea creatures anymore.
Yeah.
But she knows that they're friends and they're around, and they have to communicate through pantomime. If you wanted to do that, you could have done that. It was just a lack of choice, I guess. It just kind of felt like it was following along with the things that it felt like it needed to follow along to, and then changed some very tiny things and not enough, and then also didn't really make it interesting or visually stimulating.
Yeah.
It just kind of bummed me out.
You think they saw like the some production of Aquaman and they were like, "Oh man, we were gonna kind of do something like that."
I don't know.
I don't even want to do this anymore.
And I will say this might just be something that kids might watch and just love. And if a kid really loves Halle Bailey, then I have to say that because if I say it too fast, it's Halle Berry. Then maybe they just really maybe they'll really like that. And I think there is something about that magical feeling of watching a movie and feeling like I don't know, you swim in a lake or a pool or the ocean or something like that, and you kind of like pretend to be a mermaid or a merman or something like that, and it kind of like fulfills a little bit of a fantasy there. I think that it's probably it could probably be successful on that round. But I just thought the animated movie, I don't understand what it is about these new movies being so afraid to be animated. Yeah. Or just not understanding why they were animated in the first place and how they made use of the animation. I just don't understand how people can't grasp that. And they really need to have like a committee of intelligent animation historians and technicians or something to talk about like what worked, what was so enthralling about this movie if you're gonna do something like this.
Yeah.
Or don't and just keep making them so that you can keep your copyright for longer. I don't know. Like, I don't know what your goal is. You're definitely making money, but this one did not do well.
It's one of those things. It would have made sense that it was The Little Mermaid. You would think it's going to be something really cool looking.
Yeah.
It's like when
it was just frustrating.
I didn't see Dumbo, but I fast forward to the part with the when they're drunk to see like Tim Burton doing Elephants on Parade.
Sure.
That has to be amazing. It was not. I think it was just like weird visuals and that's it. They just kind of moved on quickly.
Well, that'll do it for this episode of the Rubber Animation Podcast. Speaking of moving on quickly, just gonna say, follow Rob Yulfo at Rob Yulfo. Mm-hmm. Follow me, Stephen Brooks, at Rubber Onion. And go check out the Patreon if you want to join up on the Discord. We'll talk about the 10-year anniversary that's coming up soon.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. This is going to be the shortest outro ever.
See ya.